Gilbert Burns breaks down Belal Muhammad versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, following the result of Shavkat's fight with Ian Gary, in which the Kazakh fighter was able to secure a victory and extend his undefeated streak. After a closely contested bout, all questions regarding Belal's next title defense were erased. We now know who's fighting for the welterweight crown. It's just a matter of the date and the location at this point. Belal versus Shavkat is stylistically a very promising matchup, considering both fighters' grappling skills and preferred fighting pace. Most expect this one to be closely contested, though nothing can be said with certainty, of course. Former title challenger Gilbert Burns, who has some insight on both of these fighters, shares his thoughts. Burns has experience training with Shavkat Rakhmonov, including many sparring sessions, as Shavkat is coached by Henry Hoof, the same coach that we see in Burns' corner. And as far as Belal, of course, Belal has fought him, and despite sustaining an injury early in the fight, he went to decision with Muhammad. When he was asked to comment on how the fight between the two will go, this is what he said.
He's a close fight, he's a very close fight. I think Shavkat expect one thing for Ian Gary, and then he had another thing that he had to adjust. Belal was there, looking super close. At the first fight, I was giving a little bit more advantage to Shavkat, but right now, I think it's a very close fight. I don't think Belal will be able to take Shavkat down. Shavkat takedown defense is very good, and grappling defense too, offensive too, very good. But one thing that Belal gonna bring trouble to Shavkat is gonna be the volume. The guy has unstoppable cardio, crazy volume, both stance, moving forward, don't stop moving. A little low guy. As of right now, I think it's going to be a very close fight.
Michael Bisping and Paul Felder comment on MERAB's altercation with UMAR's teammate during UFC 310. What initially was thought of as just a situation involving a fan turned out to be something more interesting. We've now been used to seeing or hearing about MERAB getting into incidents with fans. Trolls yell disrespectful things at him, and he confronts them. Well, during last weekend's event, where MERAB was in attendance, a video of security separating him from somebody in the fans section and his teammate punching that person started circulating on social media. That somebody, as later confirmed, happened to be UMAR's teammate and friend. So now, the MERAB versus UMAR rivalry might even get more interesting, and considering we're about a month away from the contest, it's going to be really heated once we get closer to fight week, where we can expect things to peak. In any event, the bantamweight division could use some of that right now. And fans will never reject some good drama in this sport. Bisping and Felder react to MERAB's altercation.
A little bit of drama going on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Dana said it best at the post-fight presser. These guys are fighters. This is what happens. And because you're on the inside, they do everything they can to try and avoid these kind of things happening where people run into one another. But fighters are unpredictable by nature. We're fiery. We're, sometimes a little bit stupid because the emotions get too much, and then you act out and you do something that you might later regret. I didn't realize that Nate Diaz had such a beef with Islam Makhachev, though.
Yeah, I didn't. I think Nate's got a beef with anybody that's not on his side. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not Team Diaz, he's got beef.
So it's the Khabib connection, because he's always had a thing back and forth with Khabib. So
Islam Makhachev gets into an altercation in the street and gets headbutted. Ikram Aliskerov, the fighter who's most known for getting knocked out by Khamzat Chimaev and later Robert Whittaker, after accumulating quite a decent winning streak, is also Makhachev's close friend. They both come from Makhachkala in Dagestan and have kept a close relationship for years. In a recent interview with a Russian channel, Analytics MMA, Ikram told the story of two of them getting into an argument with their acquaintances shortly after the press conference for Makhachev versus Tsarukyan. According to him, Islam ended up getting headbutted hard, though no serious injury was caused. This is what Ikram said when asked about what happened following the presser, as one of their teammates' post suggested an altercation. Quote, "Nothing serious really. We just got into an argument with people that we know, not strangers. Maybe some of them were drunk or something. I don't know. One guy was screaming at Islam, acting really bizarre, to the point where even his friends looked like they were ashamed of him. Islam grabbed him by his collar and shook him a bit. And in this moment, unexpectedly, the guy just headbutted him. But he wasn't a physically imposing guy, so it wasn't much of a problem. Islam did take a smack from his forehead though. Then we took care of it. A couple of slaps and stuff. Nothing crazy. In these moments, we have to remember we are responsible not only for our careers, but for our teammates and coaches. So this is the reason why the thing didn't go more dramatic or something. But yeah, it's funny how things like this can happen out of nowhere, unquote. Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo react to Gane versus Volkov and all the controversy surrounding the decision. After the two top heavyweights clashed on UFC 310, and following a close fight, judges scored it for Cyril Gane. Many were surprised by the outcome, some angry and some disappointed. Volkov and Dana White fit into all of these categories, as the boss didn't wait too long to let the public and Alexander himself know that he thinks the judges got it wrong, and Volkov got, quote, fucked. Perhaps the most important factor behind the controversy of this decision is how their first fight went. The Frenchman scored a dominating victory over Volkov over 3 years ago. And compared to that fight, this one went much better for the Russian, and an argument can be made that he in fact won the contest. But how much better he did in this one, compared to their first outing, certainly plays a role in public's reaction. Whether Dana and the brass decide to make that one for a third time anytime soon is yet to be seen. Kamaru and Henry react to the fight.
It was a controversial. I don't know. Is it controversial? Whatever it is, I really don't give a fuck, dude. Like, it's. Let's move on.
I think honestly, I think that maybe, I don't know if, obviously, Henry, when we come into these fights, we have things going on, injuries that you didn't disclose and things like that. So I don't know what they were, if Cyril Gane or Volkov was dealing with something, but it seemed to me like Cyril Gane, either that or maybe he spent a little bit too much time working on the grappling, to where I just kind of felt like he didn't get his striking going. He wasn't as dynamic as we're used to seeing. He was kind of standing in front of Volkov. He wasn't bouncing around, walking guys. Like, it didn't look like the Cyril Gane that we're used to seeing. And so, yeah, it was a tough decision, but hey, he still got the nod. He still got the nod. And like we said earlier in the show, when you leave it to the judges, things like this happen.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But
it was a competitive fight, but whatever, man. It is what it is. You leave it to like as you said before, what Burt Watson said. You leave it in the hands of the judges. This shit is gonna happen.